Hi, this is Wendy Carson Smith, and I am here with my friend, Dr. Eileen O'Grady, to talk about resiliency, holiday, and COVID. Eileen will regularly provide us with her strategies and her wonderful insights on LTNN O'Grady's Strategies for Nurse Wellness. Dr. O'Grady is a good friend, a very smart woman, and she has wonderful insight for you into how to best be the best nurse that you are. Eileen has 3 degrees, graduate degrees, 2 from George Mason, and 2 from GW and 1 from George Mason. 1 in nursing, 1 in public health, and a PhD in nursing. Hi, Eileen. Thank you for
Wendy.
joining me. I'm excited about you being here today, and I just want you to share your wisdoms and insights into how our friends and our nurses can deal best with this holiday season. I know you have been all around the world on your Zoom, like so many of us, and that you've seen a whole lot. What have you learned during this time that we've been locked down?
Yes, thank you, Wendy. So glad to be here with you. I think people are suffering a lot more than they're actually admitting. I think that we're all grieving, that we've lost the past, we've lost the future, and we just seem to have the anxious moment. And so, it looks and smells and sounds and feels like grief because we've all lost a lot, no matter your situation. And I've noticed that some people, feel that maybe they don't have it so bad, that they have their job still or their health. And so they deny their feelings, they push them down, they diminish. And when we do that, when we push our strong emotions down, they come out, in some way. They get us in another way. They come out sideways, maybe through a comment, or we're reaching for cookies or alcohol to numb out. So I think there's just a lot more pain than it's fully being acknowledged. And I really worry about caregivers, nurses, people with small children that are home and sort of locked in. It's a very, very difficult time. So it's just important to validate that. And so I think it's important to really name our feelings, name how we're feeling. And that's how we can get a handle on them so that they don't own us. So to really come clean and get honest about what we're experiencing, in our interior is an important first step.
Tell me this, after we do that, what are some of the other tools out here that we might need to use to address this time?
Well, there are so many, and the 3 that I've been really plugging during the COVID holiday edition here is the 3 A's, around, attention, agility, and agency. And I just want to explain like how those are used because, a lot of it is, we get to decide what we pay attention to. So if you call yourself a news junkie and have this news on 24/7, you're likely to be in a really stressed state. That there's some editor in a newsroom deciding what to put on to keep you hooked watching. So what I'm saying is that, are we watering the weeds or are we watering the flowers? Like, what are we paying attention to in our life? And that it's important that we carefully curate what we let in and not be exposed to all this negativity and hostility and things that we actually have no control over. So I think this idea of attention and what we place it on, it can change our brain. Are we focusing on things that we can't control? And there are really just 3 things we can control in this world, what we let into our lives, that food and alcohol and people and media and literature, and what we let out, what we say, our words, our tone, and then what we attach to, are we attaching to negativity and outrage, or are we attaching to beautiful things and good people? So we have to take real sharp attention to what we pay attention to. That's
Okay.
number 1.
Now, what would you say to those nurses who've been working constantly during the pandemic and who are going to have to work maybe Christmas or Christmas Eve? What one thing would you ask them to think about to uplift
Mhm,
themselves, uplift their patients, and help them get through this season?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's such a great, beautiful question. And I'm living with somebody who's working 12 hours Christmas Day, and how so much of it is how you show up, your own agency. So, first of all, I would say I'm encouraging people to spend 90 minutes a day on self-care. And that means it does not include eating or grooming. So you are, exercising, reading poetry, whatever your thing is, that you show up nourished, fed, rested, watered, and you're not showing up depleted. I mean, nothing good happens when we're exhausted. So whatever you can do to prioritize sleep and those other things, would be essential. And so much of it is making a decision. That's that plastic brain that we have, and being really agile about, I'm going to find some patient to connect to. I'm not going to bring a lot of negativity into this. I'm going to show up rested, because the work, we can lose sight of it. The work is privileged. Not many people get to be up close with people that are so vulnerable. And I think we lose sight of how much power we have in terms of being therapeutic with people, just being present, not doing for, but being with, and being fully present. That's what I would say is maybe find three, make three people laugh, during that shift. Show up and be really present, and see what that does for you. And the other thing I'd say, Wendy, is that I think nurses have a really hard time saying no. I think we
Yes.
have a lot more agency. What's your no and what's your hell yes? What's the thing that you're going to say yes to, and fully, like being a good bedside nurse, like being really present and not being cynical. I mean, those are things, that you can make a decision. You can decide ahead of time what you're going to do. So my example is, the mask wearing. People aren't wearing masks consistently. And I remember seeing some really ugly things out in public in my community. And I remember deciding I'm not going to react to anyone not wearing a mask. I'm going to just pretend that I'm infected with the disease, with the COVID, and everyone else do what they do. And so it's been a practice daily to not react. And it's taken all this stress off of me. So we can decide what we're going to react to ahead of time. And who
Okay.
doesn't want to sign up for that? To just be less reactive overall.
I like that. Taking your own, making yourself accountable to yourself,
Mhm.
but how you care for yourself seems to be the overriding approach to this season. No, and I like that.
Yeah, and I think, Wendy, that at the end of the day, it's really about self-governance. That the only
Mhm.
thing we really have control over in this expanding universe of things we can't control is ourselves. And really, like, buckling down on that. How do you self-govern? How do you show up? How do you want to be in the world? If your 16-year-old self met you today, would he or she be proud of the person you are, the way you're showing up? And get that right, and all beautiful things will flow. So we have more agency than we often exercise, than we use. We have more power. And I'm saying to really dial up that self-care and that power that we have to show up in a powerful way. And Albert Einstein said the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. So some of the mindset and the
Yeah.
ideas we have about how things should be, we should all banish should, and really just think about, how can I be more joyful in my life? How can I be more playful? How can I not be so negative and have all this negative emotion? What editing do I need to do in my life to get rid of some of this negativity, is what I'd say.
All right. Thank you, Eileen. Now, if you want to hear more about Eileen, and Eileen has agreed to give us more of her tidbits of wisdom and knowledge over the course of 2021, join us at Let's Talk Nursing, O'Grady's Strategies for Nurse Wellness. More importantly, if you want to reach out to Eileen directly, as I said, she is a fitness and a wellness coach, a nurse practitioner with both certifications, and a wonderful, wonderful nurse practitioner as well. Reach out to her at eileenogrady.net. This is Wendy Carson for Let's Talk Nursing Now, LTNN, your one-stop shop for nursing news, policy, regulation, and practice. Join us again soon. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. What does